Yo, we have Abby Taylor on the podcast. She is the co-founder of Playyables. We did a deep dive into her story on how she started from a smoothie acai cart into a massive franchise empire. All right, let's get into it.
You know where you are?
This is the OutliersPodcast. Let's go! So bring it. Let's talk about the cart.
Okay, yeah.
So 2014.
Well, I kind of want to go to before that because it kind of leads up to like how that came about. I grew up in the Jersey Shore. I've been surfing my whole life. Very artistic, very creative. I'm really bad at school. My brother's really smart, just different minds. He actually has a bunch of Playyables now, too. He has like 6 of them. He lives in Delaware, all down there. But I'm always like, haha, joke's on you. Like, joke about it. But he would like get like a B. My mom would be like, what are you doing? And I would literally be failing. She'd like, just pass. Like, it's fine. Like, it just was different.
Yeah.
Just
get by. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just get by.
Exactly. But once I got to art stuff, I was like in college, like did graphic design. But when I got to that, after I got past the gen eds that I was failing everything, when it got to like all my art classes, I'm like, Dean's List, oh my God, I'm so good at school. But that's how I am. If I'm not into something and I don't like it, it's just, I can't fake it. Mm-hmm. Can't sit down for a test, multiple choice. I don't know.
Yeah. It's what you're passionate about.
That's always how I've been.
You're going to learn about something that you shouldn't be passionate about.
Yeah.
And if you enjoy it, then that's why you're going to be better at it, because you want to like grow and improve and get better and better at it.
Yep.
And that's why you're so pivotal in the branding side of things of Playyables too.
Yeah.
So when you went into, did you know when you started Playyables with you and your, at the time, I know he's your ex-boyfriend now, but at the time your boyfriend, right? What was that initial? Did you have a thought of it potentially being a legitimate business, or was it just like, hey, let's just make some money, let's have fun with this? Like, what was the thoughts behind it?
Yes. So going back to the beginning of it, because this kind of like tells how it kind of started. But I went to school for graphic design. I graduated, and I just wanted to go to all these surfing spots that I had always dreamed about. And I was kind of like, I don't know what I want to be, but I definitely never pictured myself in a 9-to-5 ever. Mm-hmm. Like, I just never saw it happening. I know that that's not a normal mindset. I think people just automatically go to that, but I never thought that was going to be me. So I was bartending at DJ's at the time after college. And then I was just traveling in the winters. And I was having acai bowls everywhere I went, and I was obsessed. Coming back and making them for my family and friends. And I was like, why don't we have these here? And this time at the Jersey Shore, it was like for lunch you can get like pizza or like a sub, and then you go back on the beach and you feel like crap. Like there was no healthy options either. So I kind of was like, why don't we try this? Like, let's see if people even like it here. And at that time, no one even knew what acai was. Now it's kind of more mainstream, but I feel like single-handedly we explained like acai to a lot of like the Jersey Shore area and telling that story of traveling and the benefits of it. So we lived above a pizzeria in Belmar and right on Ocean Avenue. And the pizzeria guy was kind of like old school, like salty guy. And we're like, can we sell these like smoothie bowls in front of your shop? And he's like, I don't know like what that is, but just pay me rent, like whatever. So we stole our friend's patio table, bought an umbrella. I had a friend whose dad owned like a restaurant supply. So we got like a big topping station. Made these menu boards that I would do by hand. If it rained, it was all down the drain. The umbrellas flying down Ocean Avenue. But you know what? No one came. Mm-hmm. No one came. It wasn't like we just set this up and there's like a line down the block and all this just happened. Like it was a lot of like we'd put up the sign, we'd go on the beach, hand out flyers that I made, literally got them printed at Staples, like go on the beach in our bathing suits and just go up and down the beach and explain like what acai was, what we were doing, pointing to the umbrella across the street. Adding music, having the blender running so people are walking by and they're like, what is that? What is that? But I knew if they tried it one time that they would feel how I felt about it and they would also love it and how it made them feel and obviously the taste of it. And that really was the start of it. But like nobody was coming in the beginning. It was tough.
How did you deal with like, did you have any self-doubt during that time? Because it's like, that takes a lot of, obviously now it's like easy to look back on that and be like, yeah, we pushed through and all of that and people don't realize. But like in that moment, it's so difficult not knowing what your future looks like.
I wasn't even thinking about the future though. I just was kind of like, this could be cool. Like, I love it so much. It's fun. Mm-hmm. I wasn't thinking like, let's open shops across the country and like what it's going to be. Now it's 10 years.
Yeah.
In May, it was 10 years. I wasn't thinking that way. But I knew I loved it. Mm-hmm. And I knew it was fun.
And then is there certain moments that you just like push through it each day? Like just going
every day, you continue to do that. There were so many things. You're just so involved in it too, and you get so wrapped up. It's like people weren't inviting me to things anymore. Like my friends were like, that was when I'm 34, we were 24, everyone's going out every weekend. It's like, I wasn't doing it. Like I was bartending till 4 a.m. and I was making smoothies at 8 a.m. and that's what it was. And my head was down and it was like, this is good. This could be so cool. This could be so cool. Everyone's like, we'll come and support you, but like, what are you doing? Kind of,
Yeah, like almost like mocking it in a way.
A little bit.
Just being like, all right, well, good for you with that smoothie thing. I'm going to do this instead.
That's exactly it. And honestly, I don't blame them. I don't know. I didn't know what it was going to be either. And then it was like that next summer we set up the cart and, the rain and the weather was such like a thing every single day. If it's raining, then your day is shot. So this guy approached us who owned the building that the Belmar store is in now, which was right behind where the cart is, like literally. And he was like, do you guys want to go in there? And we're like, yeah, but like we really didn't have that much money, and the building was a mess from Sandy. Like it had been boarded up since Sandy. It was an old gym right on Ocean Avenue. Went in there, like the ceiling's falling down. It's like it was a mess. But we pulled together all of our family and friends and got in there and got it done. Just working day and night to get it open for July 4th weekend of that summer.
And you made a pivotal like part of like the branding aspect of it, because if you go inside of Applyables, it feels like a beach store, it's like the surf club place, it's really cool with the tins, like what was that thought process? How did you design that space?
It was easy because that's like my life. Like it's just pretty easy because it's very authentic. And also it was like the beginning of Instagram. I always bring up too, like Instagram was blowing up and we were blowing up. So like the visuals of Applyables are easy, right? Like the products speak for themselves. They're beautiful. People are holding it up on the beach and it's getting a lot of like chatter on Instagram. And it was the start of all of that. So we capitalized on that. It was a lot of like late nights, like commenting back and you know how it is. You're responding to messages and all of that was a big piece of it. Super important just for the foundation, but in-store stuff, it was easy. It was like, oh, that's cool, that's cool. I was painting all the artwork in the stores. I was doing the menu boards by hand because I had that background and I enjoyed it. And then as we got bigger, I'm like, this is all I can do, or I'm running this business too. So it was like, I can't do all of this. Yeah. I just spent like 8 hours painting a new store, and now like franchisees and all this, like all this stuff is happening within a day, and I painted a store, and that's great. But like,
was there a specific moment? What gave you the confidence to open up that location? Was there like a slow growth from the first summer into the second summer?
I just saw that people really liked it. And like I would like look up and there'd be a line down the block. And I'm like, you know what, at least if we start with this, it felt kind of like an easing into it. Like it wasn't a big like sign this 10-year lease, sign this 5-year lease. It was like, why don't you just go in there, see how it goes, you put your money into it, and like we'll talk about it. Like that's kind of how it went. So it wasn't like a huge commitment. The first big commitment was probably like in Pier Village in Long Branch with Kushner. I remember my dad called me. I'm like, I'm opening up a store in Pier Village. And he's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, I'm putting my name on this lease. And I was like, I already don't have anything. And like, so what's the difference? Like, if this doesn't work, then all right. Like, it's fine. I'm not like, it was cool. Like, it was a story. It was... But at that point, we just kept putting everything back in. I was overdrafting my debit card. Like, it just was what it was.
Was Pier Village your second location?
No, we opened up, like, another little pop-up cart in Belmar. Then we opened up basically like a snack bar situation in Manasquan. We opened up a store in Bayhead. And then I believe Pier Village was, like, right at the time with Bayhead.
Was that within, like, a year or two after your first location?
Yeah.
Okay, so and then what was like the growth strategy? Was it just kind of like just go?
Yeah, there was no strategy. What happened was we're like, let's keep Belmar open for the winter and like see how it goes. And I was seeing like varsity jackets for like Montclair and like far North Jersey in the middle of winter varsity jackets. I'm like, these people want this everywhere. This isn't just like a beach thing. I just was like, this works at the beach. This is what it is. But I'm like, people want it everywhere. It's not just this. Like we could do it in other places. Then we did open up Montclair. It's funny that I said that varsity jacket just randomly, but
no, it's because you remember like going back and picturing yourself in that moment. That's probably something that symbolizes.
I do, and I was like, these kids are driving an hour to come here in the dead of winter to get like a frozen cold bowl. It's crazy. So I knew that people wanted it other places, and at that point, people were starting to copy us, right? And I'm like, if we don't get to these spots first, like, I don't want them to have a representation of an acai bowl that's not ours. Like, I want to set, like, what the bar is. And I think that Playables definitely single-handedly, like, set what an acai bowl is. And, like, now everywhere I go, if somebody offers an acai bowl at like a juice shop, I always get it, and I'm always like, if it's good, I'm going to say it's good. Like, I just want to try it, whatever. It's never as good. I just, like, the size, the presentation, the bowl, everything. There was so much thought that went into each thing. It's like, I don't know, we just set the bar for what it should be.
I agree with that. I mean, I think also you have kind of like the Windex. There's Q-tips, and then there's pliable.
People
you know what I mean by that?
would go to other juice shops and be like, can I have a pliable? And the people would be like, it's not actually a pliable.
Yeah,
like,
but
that's pretty cool.
It's
like,
amazing. Are you kidding me? I feel like it really is that of acai bowls. I feel like a lot of people just, maybe because we're also in Jersey, but like it's a pliable, which is really cool.
Yeah.
How did you guys also develop the menu and all of that? Did you guys just like try to like, because it's an immense menu.
Yeah.
Like, how did you go about all of that?
So we get a lot of heat for that, like especially now. Like the menu's so big. I'm like, first off, a lot of people just get the same. People just get the Nutella bowl every time, or they get what they get, right? Like how often do you go in there and you try something new? Like
no, I get the exact. I get a smoothie every time.
You do?
Yeah, I'm a big strawberry banana.
Like that.
I get a strawberry banana, peanut butter, chocolate protein with coconut.
That sounds good.
Yeah, smoothie.
But like the bowl is just superior.
Yeah.
Like. But in our head, it was like we already have all these topping ingredients, right? So what does it matter if there's 5 combinations or 20? I'm not adding anything. I'm just doing different combinations of it. Because sometimes I don't like when I go to like a spot where I have to build my own thing, and then I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like I rather have like a basis and then build off of that. And people do adjust like almost everything on our menu and customize it anyway. But I just felt like we had all the ingredients, so that's kind of how that came about.
Yeah, and I was like, let's just do it.
We had it.
And it seemed like, because of your naive confidence, and I mean that in like a respectable way, it was
That's a
like,
really good way
let's
to put
not overthink everything. Let's just go.
It was go, go, go. We didn't overthink anything.
Yeah,
there
and
was
it's
no
like,
testing. It was like, do you like this? Yeah. Like, ooh, that's really good. People are going to like that.
Yeah.
And some of the things didn't work out. Like, it just is what it is.
It was almost like you just kept on going, and then until there was an obstacle, then you just try to figure out how.
1,000%.
You know?
And like, I didn't go to school for business, and like, definitely in the beginning, I thought like, I'm just this young girl, and like people. I thought everybody was like great. I'm like, everyone's so nice. Like everyone is great. And then like started this, I'm like, people are not nice. Like people, and then like, you know, as the years go on, you're like, you question things and you learn how to like handle yourself in a room of guys in suits and just different things. But I think like it's so important for me even to this day. Like, this is just how I always show up. Like we have a board meeting, whatever. It's like, what am I doing? I'm putting on these like work pants. Like, what am I doing? Like, no. And it's always just
being your authentic self.
Yeah, I think it's so important. And I try to speak at like different things to schools and kids, because I wish that like at that age in like high school and middle school that somebody like me came in and talked. Like, it's just relatable. It's relatable. Like, look what I did. I think that you could do it. Like,
why do you think why do you think it was, like, what do you say to them? Like, why do you think you actually made it, you know?
I think, like I said, I just, like, always picture something different for myself.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people in school, like these kids, it's like, you have to do that. You have to go to high school. You have to go to college. You have to graduate. But everything has to be a certain way. And I never thought that that's how it had to be. And I think that it's important that you don't have to do what everyone else is doing. If you're passionate about something, like, you really could do it.
I agree with that. I think also
and, like, I hate that, too. Like, you could do it. Like, that whole talk. But, like, seriously, I really...
Yeah, as long as you truly believe in something, right? And just being an authentic self and just being like not believing. I feel like the people that think outside of the box, it's, if you hear all these entrepreneurs, 90% of the time they're like, I sucked at school. It's always those people, right? And just like, hey, I didn't like school, but I was still like super happy and I always wanted to do this, I want to do that instead, and just wanted to like not be told what to do every single day. I have my own vision, I have my own dream, I'm going to work towards that. And then, you know, going back to your story, the fact that, so after Pier Village, at what particular moment, so you're at year 2, you have a bunch of different pop-up locations on the shore.
I'm getting this timeline probably wrong, but it's like...
But then there's the Pier Village. That was probably the big, like, commercial spot, right? Because that's big. Like, you're dealing with a corporate entity.
Exactly.
And then at what point of time was it like, we should franchise?
Yeah.
What was that point like?
So people were approaching us pretty early on, like, oh, to open one. And I'm like, no, like, because you just have this control where you want to control everything. I wanted to make every bowl that went out. I'm like, oh, no one's making it like I'm making it. And then you have 5 or 6 stores, and I'm like, I cannot possibly be behind every counter making every bowl. So, you know, hiring the right people and putting people in place and trusting, that's a huge step. And I talked to a lot of people in a similar position that have kind of like quick service restaurants that say the same thing, like, the control. I'm like, you'll drive yourself crazy if you don't. But people were coming to us asking about it. So I knew that was going to be a big lift to get all that paperwork. Like, it's not just like, sure, you're a franchise.
No,
like,
it's
that's
a huge
lot
thing
to get buttoned up. And took years really to get right, even after we had franchisees on. But people were coming to us. And then, like I said, I saw a competition opening. And I'm like, if we can't get everywhere, we have to bring in people to get everywhere for us, people that we trust. It was like family, friends, like distributors, everybody that was really close to us that we were starting to say yes to and get that paperwork dialed in. But that's really why it became that I wanted to be everywhere, and I knew we couldn't do it corporately.
How did you actually become a franchise? You know, there's a lot of people out there that might have 2 or 3 pizzerias, or that have a coffee shop and they have 5 of them and that want to franchise. What's the process like to franchise?
We went to like a franchise attorney and got all that paperwork dialed in, like you said. You mean when they approach us?
Actually, because you have to start a legal document to create a franchisor agreement, right? And then you can then be like, hey, franchisees, who wants to franchise our business, correct?
We never even went out and looked. It was like people just we were getting like unsolicited 50 emails a week, like about it, like early on. I'm like, whoa, this is cool, but whoa. So we got all that paperwork dialed in, which like even up to a couple of years ago wasn't even fully like dial in where we wanted it to be. So you had to go back and like make some changes. But then people were coming on. It wasn't just like a one-off, like you were saying. People wanted to open like 5.
Yes.
Or people want to open like 10, which is really cool. So that's kind of how the ball started rolling. Like people were opening one and looking already for their second spot.
Did you mushroom out from down the shore, or was it kind of just like immediately like all throughout the country?
It was a lot. It's very Jersey. It was Jersey based for early on with the franchising, and then out of state happened like later on. Like Delaware made a lot of sense. It's a lot of Jersey people, like Udell. They all knew about it. Like the line, the day we always do like a line and 50 free bowls, and everyone is like Jersey based knew about it. I was at the store before it opened, and I hear people walking by, like, oh, I go to that in Jersey. I just heard it. So places that made sense, like Boston, also has a lot of Jersey kids that go to school there, so they knew about it. Like what made sense, pretty close by, we could drive there. Yeah, just sort of fanned out.
Yeah, so it was like a nice like mushroom effect. Yeah, it clouded out around.
And like I said, I had people like my brother who grew up in Monmouth County in Jersey, so they were there and right by Udell and all that whole area.
What were the initial obstacles you had to deal with when you started franchising?
That control, like it's your baby, and now these other people have it in your hands, right? Like I always laugh and tell this story, but there was no really control over like the brand either, which is like my baby, and I did all of the creative stuff for it, especially early on. Like I would wake up and look on Instagram, and there'd be like some post that like somebody made, and I'm like, what is that? Like the logo's messed up and the colors, just stuff like I would never pick that was totally off brand. So dialing that stuff in. I wasn't giving them the tools, but I didn't know because I was learning as we were going too.
Yes.
Like things like Canva and things like that can lock stuff in, or
brand books.
Yeah, or like our print guy, like just having conversation. Now they have like a whole team at our print supplier, Blazing Visuals, that like is just for Pliable. So they're filtering through all of that. But none of that was in place because I wasn't even thinking about that. But then I would wake up, like Christmas morning, I saw this crazy Pliables post in one of the stores. I'm like, I passed it. And I closed my eyes, like went back. I was like, oh my God. Like just, but it was my fault. Like I wasn't giving them the tools. So how could I even be mad like about the branding that was getting a little bit out of control? So dialing all that stuff in, pulling it back in. What
was the thought process on having each location having their own Instagram account?
This still comes up to this day, and I'm like, I don't even know how to not have this at this point. I would wake up and they'd be like, hey, we're hiring at, Red Bank. Can you post about it? I'm like, this isn't like a hiring thing, or like, hey, we're hosting a pop-up today for local businesses at our shop. Can you post it? Like every single day, I wasn't going to do that, and it wasn't going to water down our page of our beautiful brand and everything how we wanted it to be. So that's how I thought about it. And now it's like so far down the road, and each store individually uses that as like a really big tool for them to do stuff like that. And especially if you go to one store, let's say you go to the Hoboken location, like maybe you only follow Pliable's like big account and Hoboken because you want to see what they're up to.
Yeah.
People have opinions about it, but I just feel like at this point, like it is important for them to have that tool. Yeah. And every day I'm not going to post on our main thing about.
I totally agree with that. And actually, now you saying that, it actually makes it feel like more of a community of each little micro location, right?
People
it's kind
have
of
a lot of opinions about it.
Yeah. So like on a commercial side of things, like on a corporate side of things, people like Because then on one side, I'm thinking, like, that doesn't create unity. Then you can't control each Instagram account. And you have someone's mom, someone's aunt controlling it. But then at the same time, it also makes it feel like mom and pop, that each location is a mom and pop of its own entity. So it's actually a good thing.
Yeah, and some of them have some people have like, some franchisees have like 10 locations and they have their own social media people who are like managing those 10 accours. It becomes like a full-time, you know how it is.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. But you guys do a great job.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I
it's
love
obviously them and we have it's throwing a lot at the wall, seeing it sticking and then going. Oh well, today's the day.
Oh my God. Okay.
I know you're gonna have to surf
I'm
extra
strict
today.
with my diet, but
you'll run extra. We'll scoop it out for you.
All right. Yeah.
And then how did you like sustain the culture within like Playables? Because I feel like even just the culture, I feel like every Playables I go to, I feel like I'm seeing kids who are probably from Jersey Shore, down the shore, like surfing. It's just there's like, you have this young demo there. Between the music, even the temperature of every Playables, like nice and chill.
Oh,
like I
never heard that about the temp. I like that. I do all of our merch, so I think that like our merch is pretty good. But I think that plays a role in it. I was initially, I don't know if you're in this stage, but maybe this could help you even. But like, I was thinking like when I first made merch, like the Playa logo has to be on everything. It's all about the logo. Like, that's what it's about. And then I'm like, I want this to be like a lifestyle. Like this is like, I want this to be like a Billabong. Like I want this to be a surf brand. Like I don't even want it to be about that logo. Once I shifted that, like these kids, like everything that drops are like, I want every shirt. Every time we do like a launch, we do 2 times a year, merch drops. And I think that adds to like the vibe in the store. And I always was like, be yourself, like in the store, like some spots have to wear hats or have certain things. Like you always have to have your hair pulled back, that kind of stuff. But like, I want people to have like their individuality, and like I go in and they have their shirts, like they bleached them and did different cool stuff, and I love that vibe. I think that's so cool.
I agree.
And that's, I think, what you're seeing.
Yeah, for sure. I know, for sure. And I think like as I'm even asking these questions, and I admire that like it's just like whatever you feel you're gonna do. And I feel like even for myself, like we're dropping new merch like next week.
It's so exciting.
I'm pumped, but at the same time, like I overanalyzed it big time. Like the older I'm getting, I feel like I'm creating analysis paralysis between each thing because I'm now more educated, I'm more seasoned. I know I used to be so much more impulsive.
Yeah.
And it helps with certain things because you just go and do it. But then now it's like preventing obstacles. Does that make sense? Like you're trying to learn. Obviously, that there's problems that could arise. So you like learn more and more and realize like you don't want to drop like $5,000 on merch if it's not like the right. I'm like sticking to my brand book and making sure the O is the exact same.
And how many items are you doing?
I think we're only doing 4, something like that.
Yeah, like in the beginning I would do so many, and I'm like, oh my God, that's way too much.
Yeah.
Like you just have to mess around with it. It takes like years.
And then how about like every location has like a different, like has the like painting and all of that. Do you like now outsource that and make sure they are painting like as if Abby was painting?
Yeah. So early on, we hired a painter. Her name's Ramona. She's amazing. But I was like, this is like what, like she looked at the stores obviously and saw what I was doing, and she's an amazing, amazing artist. And she kind of like tried to mimic that, but she's better than me. She's next level. But I also thought it was important that each store, even though like you knew it was Playables and we have certain things that go into all the stores, but I wanted them also to be able to have their own things. So like they're in Ohio, he did something with like an Ohio helmet, like because it's by the store. Like I want them to do a little bit of their individual thing to make sense in their location. But she does have like a plethora of different things that we do in a lot of the stores.
Yeah, it's all the same
kind of
theme.
like pick from. Yeah, like it's a Playables, but they're not all exactly the same.
Yeah,
which I love.
And it has like that one main wall. It's if it says like Warren or it's like you said New Brunswick, Rutgers. It has like the Scarlet Knight and all of that.
And like I do, we do like sticker of the month too. So I draw the stickers for the sticker of the month. So sometimes I'm like, this would like transfer really well onto like a wall, and she's like, great, yes. And then she gets excited, or I'm like, oh, I did this on a shirt. Like this would look cool on a wall, and then she does it. Like so we're in contact, always trying to keep it fresh because she gets bored and we get bored, even though everyone's excited about it and it's a new store. She's like, what else can we do? But she is next level. She brings every store to life. It's like insane.
It's probably cool to like, as you've grown, been able to just meet all these passionate people and creative people, right?
And create like, that's her life now. Like a lot of these people are fully in on Playables. Even like the franchising thing is so crazy to me. Like people invested their life savings and now this is what they do. Like quit their corporate jobs and have 6 stores. Like what? That is so cool. That's so cool.
At what point like, what was it? Was there any particular moment in the very beginning you're like, holy shit, like, this is bigger than I thought it was? Is there anything that you can look back on?
I feel that way all the time. Mm-hmm. I made like the Forbes 30 under 30 list, which was like hilarious. Somebody nominated me.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. And then I got like an email and there was like this really long questionnaire. This was like years ago. And I remember I was like sitting outside, like filling out the questionnaire, just how I'm talking with you. I'm like, like answering all the questions so like informally, like And then like they posted the list. Like no one reached out and was like, you made the list, like whatever. It just was like posted. And then people were tagging me and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. But I also thought it was like, I'm like, I'm not going to get picked for this. I literally was like, I wish I could go back and look at the answers. I was just
answering.
Yeah, like just.
Dude, the common theme with you is like, just fucking do it. Like every step of the way. Like a questionnaire like that, some other people might have literally taken like
I didn't overanalyze it at all. It was
like whatever question you saw, you just answered it.
Or like somehow I was like, I have no idea this is.
That must have been because Forbes 30 under 30 is a massive thing. For an entrepreneur, it's like getting an Oscar underneath 30. It's a big thing.
So, I don't know. Yeah, really, really cool. But that definitely was like a moment where we're like, whoa.
What was that like going to did you go to like the awards thing, or like, is there like a ceremony or anything or something like that in New York?
I don't think I did that. We did like Ernst & Young did like a
there's like entrepreneurial,
yeah, we did like an awards like that for something separate. That was cool. But yeah, that was just like a big moment.
Yeah, it's a huge moment for you and within the company.
It just felt like very validating. Not that I needed that, but it did. It felt really. Yeah. Just a really special thing.
That's awesome. Was there how about when you guys were franchising, when you started, was there like a big hire that you needed? Like, was there, like, how did you, because it seems like you're very heavily focused on the branding, creatives. What was that other person that came in that you had to hire to get to the next step?
Yeah. Like a VP of franchising we did bring in. And then he hit the ground running. It was just kind of like.
A monster?
Yeah. A beast and just an extension and doing all of the things and getting so much done. And I credit a lot to him. He's moved on to a different career now, but it just was like such a pivotal thing. As you know, it's just that team is so important of having everybody in place, and people come and go, and it's really hard to find the good people. But right now we do have a really solid team, and I think that's why the growth is just exploding at this point.
How did you find franchise? I know there were a lot of them were coming in. Was there a process you guys did, like vet them, right?
Yeah.
Because it could be like anybody, emailing, but it's like, all right, out of those top 50 or you're getting hundreds of emails. Was there a process on vetting through them?
In the beginning, it was kind of just like gut, like we were all reading through it and passing along to each other and then kind of just moving through the process. But now there's definitely a more in-depth process. It goes through a lot of eyes, a little bit of a deeper dive at this point, which is good. But in the beginning, it definitely was a lot of gut. Like somebody sent an email that really stood out or whatever it was. I'm like, oh, this guy sounds cool. Like, and then we dig into it a little bit further. And then some didn't work out, and some have been franchising with us now for a long time and have been wonderful.
How about the distribution of everything? Like, how did that go about? Because I mean, like, if you're having locations in Delaware and here and that, the distribution of all of those different products is like.
And then in Jersey, like we're kind of like, we're well known and we have a lot of locations. Then we were moving out of New Jersey to other states and having one or two, and then you have like no pull. It's like they're like Playables too,
Yes.
Almost like a fresh start, and we're still dealing with that. I think that. Until you're super saturated, like across all the U.S., besides in like the East Coast, because now we're more well known there. I think it's a problem, and it's really hard. Mm-hmm. And we still deal with it.
Yeah, I bet.
Every day, even in Jersey. Like it's hard.
Do you have a bunch of vendors for even so? There's some vendors you have in Jersey, and then some different vendors in Delaware and whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's like probably like you just said. I'm surprised you don't have like just one specific like commissary entity that like distributes.
It's hard.
I guess because of like the fresh produce component, you can't do that.
It's really hard.
And then, once you guys were franchising, there was, for years you guys started franchising. Was there anything that you could look back on now that you wish you did differently to start the franchising side of things? Like, are you happy when franchising, or do you wish you raised capital instead?
No, like I said, I just knew it was like a pivotal time that if we didn't do it, other people were going to do it, and I wanted to be the first everywhere. So I think it was the right move, even though it was hard in the beginning. But that once it got going, it was like definitely the move.
Yeah, it was like a snowball.
Possibly have done that. Yeah,
it was a snowball effect. It just went down the mountain. Yeah. It was like, and there's probably some other people you partnered up with, or may have been like relatively better operators and you could focus on what you do best.
Oh, some of these franchisees are way better operators. Like, it's just, they do a wonderful job.
Like, just, how they organize everything.
Or they're just like boots on the ground. They're in the community. I don't know. Just more so than we could have been corporately, especially in the early years when we were so spread thin.
And then at what point of time, because I do know that you guys sold like a majority share, correct? At what point of time did you feel like that was the moment to do that? Was that like thoughts into it? Like, how did you go about doing that?
We waited a really long time, honestly, like longer, I think, than most people would in our situation. But it just got so big. I personally, this is like kind of, I felt like there just was like a lot of risk and it was like all on me at that point. Like, you know what I mean? It was a little bit scary. Like, I'd wake up like kind of in a panic every day. Like, oh my gosh, like what if something really crazy? I don't know. It just got like a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I knew that like the brand was so strong because of like what I built and what I created, that I was like, maybe it's just time that we bring in some other hands and kind of
is there a
mitigate that risk a little bit?
Yeah,
personally.
for sure. And then also kind of just to get a payout, right? Like a large sum.
Yeah, obviously that's really cool, but it just felt like it was getting bigger than me. And I still, it's hard after that happened. It was hard, but I see how important it is for me to still be in the room and still be present to put up those guardrails. And like, there's just certain things I kind of pick and choose my battles, but there's certain things that come up that I'm like, we absolutely are not doing that. Yeah. And you know what? They respect me and they listen to me, and I am thankful for that. But I feel like I know this better than anybody, and everyone came from really big places and a ton of experience. Brands like Smoothie King and Carvel and Dunkin' Donuts, and they've been there for years, and they know a lot more than me. They're probably way smarter than me, but I know this brand, and I know there are certain things that are non-negotiable, and they do listen, which is great.
What like, is there an example of that?
Like, we don't put ice in our smoothies. I know that sounds kind of silly. We use frozen fruit in the smoothies. And I just feel like that's something that kind of sets us apart. Could we have put ice in smoothies and it would be cheaper probably? Yeah, but I don't think it's something we could sacrifice, especially at this point. You can't go backwards from what that was from the beginning. So that's important to me, and that's just one small thing. But
no, it's a huge thing.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
And no one really came back and was like, "You're wrong." And they were like, "You know what? You're right." Like, but I get it. They're exploring stuff, and
trying to increase some margins. Like, that's their game.
I get it, and I want everyone to make more money and be really successful. But there's certain things that I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah. Because that makes a huge difference. Because then it just gets like watered down.
Yeah.
And then it's just having frozen fruits. Actually, it's two birds, one stone.
I don't know, and we never did it from the beginning. I don't know why we didn't, but. So it's just important to me, but there's certain things I just won't settle on, and I think that the quality of our product also is something that sets us apart.
Is there anything you would have like structured your company differently at that sale? Is there a way that you could have like looked back on and be like, damn, I wish we did this before selling?
No, I really wasn't thinking anything like that. But also, I've just been learning as I go along too. Like, it blew up, it got so big, it was like, I don't know what I was doing. I just surrounded myself with smart people, and I'm never scared to ask questions or sound silly, and had some good like mentors in my life that I could call them, like, what do you think about this? But these people are really smart and they know what they're doing. But there are certain things, it's hard. It's hard. It's your baby. It's in someone else's hands. And I'm just happy and thankful that they do listen to me when I
say your opinion.
Yeah. And I don't pick everything. Like, I'm kind of careful about what I choose, but I think it's important, and I want to be in the room and the voice for the franchisees and let them know that I'm still here and I'm watching all these things. I
admire that. At the end of the day, your business is like your baby, right? So it's like kind of like, hey, I'm going to coddle this child, and then I have to let them grow, go to school. And then now, like, selling a majority share is kind of like them being like married and let them just flourish and do their own thing, But I admire that you're allowing. I feel like that's a major component to being successful, is allowing the company that you've created to get bigger than yourself.
And it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Was there a lot of doubt before you sold?
100%. A lot of back and forth, a lot of doubt. But like I said, it just felt like a lot every day.
What was like the first thing you bought when you got the check? Was there like, I'm just gonna go all out and do this? Or
I'm not really like that.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not really like that. Like, obviously, I can get the things I want, it's good, whatever, but I just never really thought like that.
Yeah, just like experience.
I just kind of like feel the same as I did then,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's important to be that way.
I respect that. How do you stay humble in that way?
I do. I don't know. I just think about it. I don't know. I really just think about it the same way. I feel like the same person that I was at the cart, and people say that to me all the time, and I'm like, well, what am I supposed to be like? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be like. I can go on a trip. I could do whatever I want, and that's wonderful, and I could help my family. My parents are good. That's the most important stuff. Everything else is just like extra, and it's fun, and it's great to be able to have it. Wonderful. But it's just not as important.
Yeah. When you're not at Playables, what are you doing?
I like to go to the gym a lot. I go to the beach. I have a couple dogs. I walk my dogs all the time. We hang out with them. We travel. We're really good friends. My family's amazing. I'm just lucky all around.
Yeah. You try to, is there any way like is that all of those things that kind of release the stress of like 100%. The pressures of work?
100%. It's just so important for you to take that time, even if it's an hour. I remember even when we were in the thick of it, like I just went to the gym every day for that 1 hour, and I tried to just leave my phone to the side and have that 1 hour to myself. And people I know that are in like the grind of everything, it's just so important to take that hour for yourself. Surf or whatever it is.
What's your so we do these like fun questions, and we just try to have fun with like it's called the happy hour. Okay. So a little bit lighter. I'm not going to be pressing you on this corporate talk. What is your go-to order at Playables?
Always acai. It's a must. I do acai with granola, strawberry. I like pineapple a lot, coconut flakes, and our peanut butter is next level. I don't know if you've had the peanut butter like drizzle on your bowl, not in your smoothie. That's I'm just like mad about it.
Now I need to give you a scooped out bagel, so I'm not feeling guilty about it. And I need to get an acai after this.
Have to. Our peanut butter is so good. I don't know. It's next level.
I love that. Is it called anything? It's called the Abbey or what? Or
no.
It's a build your own?
It's kind of like a custom build your own.
You have 100 things on your menu. You don't have your own go-to order?
I know.
It should be the Abbey. We got to put that on the menu.
I'm going to have to talk to corporate.
What's your favorite meal of the day?
I like, so I try not to eat probably till like 12 or 1. So like that lunch is like my favorite. I don't know. I'm eat pretty healthy during the week, and on the weekends I'm like crazy.
So
I'm like, why did I do that? And Monday I'm like that person.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So what's that one, if you could just indulge, it'd be like no guilt whatsoever. What's that no guilt meal? I just love pizza so much.
Like I just love pizza a lot. I also like pasta a lot. But like during the week, you just won't see me doing it. I'm very like, I'm drinking like 100 ounces of water. Like I'm really intense during the week. I'm at the gym 6 days a week. The waves have not been good this summer. I'm dying. I went last week. It was all right. But I'm very active. I just like rarely am sitting down.
How are you have you always been disciplined with your diet and fitness?
Yeah, and my first employee of all time, her name is Brenna, and she still works for us to this day. She's like basically my kid. She's hilarious. She always says that. She's like, how are you so, like, your mindset is so strong, like, all the time? I'm like, I don't even think about it like that. I've always been like that.
Just always disciplined with that. Good for you. I'm not, obviously, I got a problem with it. Every day I'm like, I'm the guy who's like, I'm going to start my diet tomorrow, Monday.
But you have, how many kids do you have?
I have 2.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But still, I appreciate you making me feel good about myself by not sticking to a plan, but I got to stick to the plan. It give you some honest truth. It's okay.
Is your wife into it?
She pretends that she is. She's not into it.
Because I think that it's easier if you both are, you know?
She's going to hate that I said that, but it's 100% the truth, you know.
She pretends?
I'm not cutting that. It's the truth.
Wait, she pretends like she is?
Yeah, but like she'll just because she goes to the gym like maybe once and a half a week. You know what I mean? I will give her the benefit of the doubt. Having 2 kids is like,
oh my God.
She's she just had a kid. We just had our second like 4 months ago. So it's a lot. And,
a lot.
Yeah, and then I'm not watching them for her to go to the gym, so I got to get my shit together. But we'll figure it out.
You each need your hour.
I agree with that. It's so important, though. Getting aside, I'm like important. A 4-week strong, 4-month off. That's my problem. You know what I mean? And those 4 weeks is like unbelievable. Something ends up happening. I love like hot yoga, hitting the gym, sauna, like all of that. It's just finding the time to do it.
The sauna is really...
Oh, it's killer.
I just got so into it. I love it.
Do you ever do the plunge?
No, should I get a plunge? I like that.
You
My
definitely
husband's
should.
like, I can't do that. I'm like, I like it.
No, you should totally do it. Have you ever tried it?
No, but I know I like cold water.
You would. It's sick, and you actually truly get a massive adrenaline rush after.
I'm buying one today.
I like that. Dinner with any 3 people. Who would they be?
I was thinking about this on the way here because I saw that you do this, but I don't know. This is hard.
You gotta just go with your gut, Abby. I feel like you're a gut kind of person, so you're gonna have 3 people.
My grandma that passed away a few years ago was just such an epic human, hilarious.
I love that.
Definitely her. She's just so funny, especially at a dinner. Famous-wise, this is really, I don't know.
Doesn't even have to be famous people.
Yeah.
Be anybody.
I don't know.
So just as long as your grandma. That's it.
Yeah,
What's
like
your grandma's
she's
name?
hilarious. She like would change her name. She's like, "Oh, my name's Nancy." I'm like, but her name was Gloria, but it was Nancy. And she's like, sometimes it's Anne. Like she just would change her name. She had like a really funny toast that she would always do. Like just
So Gloria, Nancy,
hilarious.
Ann is
Yeah.
who the three people are.
Yeah.
All her three different
Yeah.
personalities. Gloria, Nancy, Ann are at the dinner. What was the most impactful piece of advice you've ever been given?
I think to myself was that everyone is not nice. Like everyone's not looking out for your best interests. When you like have that moment, you're like, okay, and you put your guard up a little bit, like, and just protect yourself. I said that to myself, and I remember it just turned, like, and it was really helpful.
Yeah. And just being like, I'm going to just trust myself in my inner circle and just go. I love that.
Yeah.
Abby, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you driving over
I
here.
drove here.
And
You
to
should have seen me
Hoboken.
parking. I had so much anxiety. I ended up parking in the lot. I'm like, I don't care if this is $100. That's where I'm parking.
It's a business expense.
Yeah, like literally don't care. It was.
I'll send the bill to Steven. But I appreciate you. Your story is like so. I admire your story. I'm inspired by it. And then getting to meet you, I think the thing that I'm taking away from it the most is like, just go with your gut. Be
Yeah.
you.
And mess
authentic
up. It's
yourself.
fine even if you mess up.
Just have fun.
Yeah, it's fine. You can fix it.
And just go big, go home. I love that. Thank you, Abby. I appreciate you.
Yes. Thanks for
you,
having
Abby.
me.